What parenting mindset is the absolute worst to go by? The idea that if you protect them from everything and treat them like a child forever, they will suddenly sprout into this full-grown, well-adjusted adult at 18, and you can just kick them out and expect them to make it. My aunt and uncle homeschooled my cousins and moved around a lot, so they didn't make any friends. Pretty much told their whole lives that the world is an amazing place and that Jesus would always protect them. When they turned 18, they were into missionary work. The oldest went to Africa and the other went to El Salvador. Minds were fucking blown. Oldest almost died twice. Youngest got the shit beat out of him by a bunch of dudes. My kid can do no wrong. Also overprotectiveness. Do protect your kids, but don't overdo it. I knew a kid that grew up this way. Mom was convinced I was the liar and the bad influence on him when he was busted stealing from me. This child is an accessory to my lifestyle, not a person that needs to be raised with hopes and dreams. Deflecting criticism with, "You're not a parent, you wouldn't understand." Look, Karen, I'm not a pilot either, but if I see a helicopter upside down in a tree, I know somebody done fucked up. Also, your priorities. 1. Be their parent. 2. Be their friend. Your first and foremost duty is to prepare them for adult life. They will dislike some of the things you have to do in order to get them ready. They will pull the, "I hate you," tough shit. When I got my first job at 14, my dad started charging me rent. I hated it. It was bullshit. It was my money. But looking back, it taught me to be responsible. That I had to pay my bills first. Taught me to budget. And is a large part of why I am very financially stable. Also, he didn't keep the money. He put it into investment accounts and gave it back to me, with all the growth, when I graduated HS. My kid's an extension of myself. Fortunately, my parents made it very clear that I was expected to find my own identity in life. But some parents get bizarrely attached to the idea of their kid carrying torches for them. I'm 28 and my mom still says shit like, "We need to find out if he's good enough for you." Excuse me, you don't have to date him. My friend recently went to her friend's son's birthday party. When she arrived, she was asked why she only brought one gift. Apparently the other child, who is younger, gets sad if she doesn't get a birthday gift too, even though it isn't her birthday. So when it's one child's birthday, the other child also has to get a gift or they feel left out. No. Sorry. I grew up with a sister. When it was her birthday, it was her day, not mine. That thought never crossed my mind. That is something the parents have taught them, and it's just going to set that kid up for so much disappointment in the future. OMG, that's such a shitty concept. I can only imagine when she's older. I feel left out, so I'm going to wear a big white gown to your wedding. That's cool, right? Thinking that your kids owe you something. When you take on the responsibility of having a kid, you make a choice. It's your job to house, clothe, feed them, etc. They don't owe you anything in return. Know too many parents that are abusive and hateful towards their kids and gaslight them and think they should put up with the abuse because I raised you and provided for you. Nope. Filling every spare minute of the kid's time with activities and lessons. It makes it impossible for the child to find their own hobbies and passions, and keeps them from forming friendships and learning social skills. I have a boyfriend or girlfriend now and I choose them over you. Unfortunately, this happens way too much. I've even seen it get to the point where the state tells the parent, "This person is not safe for your child to live with, get rid of them or lose your child," and they choose the partner. Yeah, let your kid get bounced around in the foster system because you don't want to be single. It is unfathomable to me how someone could choose anyone over their own child. My sister-in-law did this. My husband and I tried to help our nephew as much as we could, but once the state got involved, it was out of our hands. We finally got her to kick him out, but by then it was years later and the damage had been done. We really believe that this is one of the main factors that lead up to him hanging himself in the basement at age 19. My kid has to achieve everything that I wasn't able to achieve, and if they don't, they are an absolute failure. There's also the variation of, I achieved all the milestones in order and on time, and my child needs to do the same. Never mind that I came of age during the GI Bill, a robustly expanding economy, and relative lack of political schism. Never mind that housing and education costs are preposterously out of scale today. I did it and I don't know why you don't. Now get out of my house that I bought for 79 cents back in 1973. Inch. Helicopter parents. Trying to protect their kid from all the dangers in the world. I understand where it comes from. For a few years you are literally the only thing keeping this tiny human alive. Feeding it, changing it, doing everything. Now, all of a sudden it's 16 and wants to play hockey, and your brain flips out because all it can think of is potential harm. It's sad because this mindset ultimately comes from a place of love and concern. But in practice, it robs children of so many of best aspects of childhood. It also does a terrible job of preparing them for the real world, where few people will be willing to hold their hand as you have. I have a friend whose mom still tracks her phone with that Life 360 app. She's 19, lives in a dorm 45 minutes away from home, and is one of the most responsible people I know. There are some things I think that happened in her past and her mom's past, so I understand why her mom does it, but it seems really damaging. She gets texts if she leaves campus to go to Taco Bell, which is right next door to campus. She leaves her phone at home if she does anything past 8 p.m. so that her mom thinks she's home, thus making her more vulnerable if something actually happens. Put cartoons on and screw around on a laptop all day. It's your own fault that your kid can't talk until they're 5 years old. I have a Facebook friend like this. Her son is 2 or 3, and all he does is sit in his high chair and watch movies. She thinks it's so cute and funny, but it's sad. She posts pictures of him in his diaper, just staring at the screen, and usually covered in spaghetti sauce. He has no motor skills and he doesn't talk. Oh, but he has a favorite anime. That's painful to read as a parent. My wife and I have a 2-year-old daughter, and we found very early on in her development that it's very easy to keep her focused on TV and it minimizes the chances that she's gonna start some shit, get in trouble, or possibly hurt herself. This realization is exactly why we actively force ourselves to avoid turning on TV and movies for her. It allows her to explore and play and learn, and we also interact with her in a more healthy way as a result of it. Treating kids like they aren't human beings with complex emotions and feelings. Not realizing that kids, especially toddlers and preschoolers, feel every emotion that adults do but don't have 30 years of experience learning how to regulate those emotions to prevent disaster. And then punishing them for their lack of self-regulation. Like screaming at them for something they can't control because that part of their brain is literally incapable of doing so is just shitty parenting. My son is 2, so he has tantrums. It's just part of the toddler experience. But what I've been doing is praising him for being able to calm down and get a hold of himself because I want him to learn self-regulation. Now when he has tantrums he sometimes says, "calming down," and he takes a minute to quiet down, breathe and center himself. And then he's back to normal. I'm amazed every time he can turn off a tantrum all on his own, and I think, wow, I taught him that. How you talk to kids really makes a difference. If it doesn't leave a bruise, it's not abuse. So, emotional, psychological, and sexual are okay? My daughter's not looking at boys until she's 40. Or the idea that your kids will never have sex. They are going to have sex. How did you even make the kid? My son is going to have sex when he's older. He's going to be taught safe sex, boundaries, consent, and all that stuff. I have no qualms about discussing sex with him at all, and would rather he feel comfortable and safe. I'll just give them what they want so they stop crying. Congratulations. You now have a child who's hopped up on sugar that's been trained to cry like a little bitch every time it wants something. The flip side is, pick your battles, think very hard about what you are denying or mandating before you do it, and decide ahead of time if it's worth really putting your foot down over. I've been working a lot lately, and that's cut into time I spend with my youngest son. He's 5. It's a short-term thing, but a few weeks is decidedly not short-term to a 5-year-old. On Friday night he asked if he could stay up later than usual, but since we had an early day planned I said no. We did bedtime routine and a story, and he started crying as soon as story time was over. There's a big difference between temper crying and actual sad crying, and he does very little of the former. When I asked him what was wrong he started crying a little harder and said, "I just miss you and want to be with you." So I broke my own rules and let him stay up a little later with me. He doesn't abuse things like that, so I don't worry too much about it. I just try to think really hard in advance about why I'm putting my foot down, whether it's really justified, and whether there is some plausible reason they might give me for not doing so. I'm the adult, so I'm always right. Sometimes adults say this out of exhaustion. Because I said so? Mom, I can think of 5 reasons why you are wrong. I don't want to hear it. I don't have to teach them that. They'll figure it out, eventually, my ex-wife. Now my 17-year-old son still can't boil water or tie his shoes. Your 17-year-old can't tie his shoes? Nope. I've tried and tried, but his mother convinced him that he doesn't need to. He can just wear slip-ons for the rest of his life. He spends more time with her than with me, and she literally never bothered to teach him how to do anything. To be fair, her mother did the same thing to her. She still can barely boil water. The one where you tell a kid to do something without explaining to them why they need to do it. Instead of yelling at them to clean their room, show them the value of having a clean, organized room. Show them that by taking the tiny effort to put things back in place, they can avoid messing up their room and losing their favorite toys, assuming kids still have toys that are not daddy's iPad, so they never really have to clean it. This is my second chance to live the life I wanted. No, it's your child's only chance to live the life they want. What parenting mindset is the absolute worst to go by? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.